Gaming Bolt presents 15 things you need to know before you buy Kuni II: Revenant Kingdom. Kuni is one of the most beloved RPGs to have been released in the last few years, thanks to its charming cast of characters, its heartwarming story, and its beautiful visual aesthetic. As such, people are looking forward to its sequel, the upcoming Kuni II: Revenant Kingdom, with great anticipation. And though we expect it to deliver on several fronts, just as its predecessor did, things are not going to be completely the same. In this feature, in anticipation of its looming release, we're going to take a look at 15 vital pieces of information on Kuni II, from the changes that are being made by Level 5 to some of the more general stuff. Without further ado, let's begin. No more Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli's beautiful art style and animation was one of the major reasons for the praise Kuni drew from critics and fans alike when it first launched on the PS3. However, things have changed quite a lot for the animation house since then, and since they now mostly operate in a production capacity, they are no longer collaborating with Level 5 on Kuni II. Obviously, that's cause for concern for a lot of people, but it's not all bad news. There's still some Ghibli influence. Studio Ghibli may no longer be technically involved in aiding with the development of Kuni II, but that doesn't mean that there's no Ghibli influence in the game whatsoever. Yoshiyuki Momose, the former animator and character designer for the studio, and Joe Hisashi, the studio's longtime music composer, are both working on the game. That's definitely encouraging, since when you take into account the fact that both of them worked on the first game as well. The setup. Kuni II's story will focus on three main characters. Evan is the Boy King of Ding Dong Dell, a location fans of the first game will remember very well. He belongs to the Cat Tribe, but after a coup from the rivaling Mouse Tribe in the kingdom, Evan was dethroned and ousted from the kingdom, and a major part of the game's story will revolve around his efforts to create his own kingdom. He will be helped along the way by Roland, a 48-year-old president of a major country from another world, or our world, who is mysteriously transported to the world of Kuni and has somehow become a 20-year-old. Completing the cast will be Tani, a sky pirate and an orphan of the man who was once the leader of the Sky Pirates. The setting. Revenant Kingdom supposedly takes place hundreds of years after the events of the Wrath of the White Witch, and considering the fact that major locations such as Ding Dong Dell are featured prominently in the game, it'd be safe to assume that this is the same setting as was seen in the first game. That may not be entirely true though. Level 5 have been vague about whether or not it follows the continuity of the first game, instead hinting at the possibility that the world we see in Kuni II might even be a parallel world to the one we saw in the first game back in 2013. A more adult story. Though Wrath of the White Witch was garbed in colorful and vibrant clothing, its story was one that had incredible thematic depth, owing to the fact that it dealt with themes of loss and tragedy. Regardless, Level 5 have admitted that, simply due to the fact that the protagonist, Oliver, was a very young child, the story had more of a childlike tone to it. Things are going to be different in Kuni II, however. Level 5 are going to try to make it a more adult story, and they're going to do that by introducing characters into the mix that are slightly older. One such character is, of course, Roland, who will serve as the wise and world-weary advisor to Evan throughout the game. Improvement over the first game. Level 5 are also determined to make sure that Revenant Kingdom is a much more complete and well-rounded experience than its predecessor was. The Japanese developer claims that the upcoming game is going to be a major improvement over Wrath of the White Witch, and that the game is going to be much bigger, take on a lot more challenges, and include many more features. Level 5 are looking to do all of this through both the game's narrative as well as its gameplay. It should be interesting to see whether that is something they can actually manage, though it's definitely encouraging to see them being so confident about their efforts. No more familiars. Kuni II is making several major changes to the original game's systems, and one of the biggest among these has to be the removal of familiars from the game. Familiars were Pokemon-like monsters that could be collected and used in battles in Wrath of the White Witch. These creatures, however, aren't going to be included in Kuni II, and are instead being replaced by new creatures known as Higgledies. Level 5 claim that this has been done to alter the combat system, which, of course, leads us to our next point. Revamped battle system. As we've already mentioned, Higgledies are replacing familiars in Kuni II's combat system, and with the major mechanic difference being that you will now only be directly controlling your 3 party members, while Higgledies are being relegated to pop-up like menus. but that isn't the biggest alteration to the combat. While Ni no Kuni was a turn-based game, its sequel will be ditching that system, choosing instead to feature non-turn-based real-time action combat. Battles take place in the open world. That, of course, means that battles will take place in real time in the open world and the dungeons themselves, rather than taking place in separate, dedicated battle arenas. Like any other action RPG, all players will have to do to enter a battle is approach an enemy. Additionally, players will also be able to move around characters on the battlefield manually. It should be interesting to see how the game's combat manages 3 party members and their accompanying higgledies in real-time combat. Though given how repetitive and convoluted the original Ni no Kuni's battles could get, it definitely seems like a step in the right direction. Managing your kingdom. Another major aspect that is being added to Ni no Kuni II's gameplay loop is that of building and managing your own kingdom. Unlike the first game, which frequently alternated between 2 worlds of Ni no Kuni and Icho no Kuni, Revenant Kingdom will be completely focused on the former as a setting. As such, the game will play host to what has been described by Level 5 as a meaty kingdom building and managing mechanic. This is interesting for narrative purposes as well. Rather than attempting to retake Ding Dong Dell, Evan seems to be focusing instead on creating a new kingdom of his own elsewhere. We're curious to see how this factors into the game's story. Multiplayer. Ni no Kuni II is, first and foremost, a story-driven single-player experience just like its predecessor was. However, Level 5 CEO Hino Akihiro, who is also serving as the game's director, has confirmed that the game will have some sort of multiplayer component as well. Unfortunately though, that is about as much as we know about this particular aspect of Revenant Kingdom. We've been told that players will be able to play online with their friends in various ways, though Level 5 have given no further details on this. Frame rate. Shifting from the PS3 to the PS4 has allowed Level 5 to expand the cinematic and visual aspirations that served as such a strong foundation for Ni no Kuni back when it first released. Though the current build for Revenant Kingdom runs at 30 frames per second, Level 5 have confirmed that the final version of the game will boast a solid frame rate of 60 FPS. Notably enough, this will be achieved not only on the PS4 Pro, but also the base PS4. That doesn't mean that PS4 Pro owners won't get any added bonuses though. PS4 Pro support. The frame rate of Ni no Kuni II will remain locked at a solid 60 FPS on both the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, but Level 5 and Namco Bandai, who are publishing the game in the Western markets, have both confirmed that the game will include special PS4 Pro support as well. What that will be exactly has not yet been revealed. Namco Bandai have earlier stated that the exact details on what the game's specifications on the more powerful variant of the system will be have not yet been finalized, but Level 5 are committed to making sure that the game will be enhanced on the PS4 Pro. Different editions. The Prince's Edition will include a steelbook case, a making-of documentary Blu-ray, as well as a season pass. The King's Edition will include all of that, plus the game's soundtrack on vinyl, a 148-page art book, as well as what's being called an Evolution of the King diorama statue. Then there will be the Limited Collector's Edition, which will have the same contents as the Prince's Edition, as well as a lot of other stuff, including a chibi mechanical rotating diorama, a visual arts book, a lofty plushie, a music CD selection, a 3D papercraft kit and display case, as well as in-game DLC. Pre-order bonuses. PS4 owners can also pre-order the digital deluxe edition of Ni no Kuni II on PSN, and doing so will entail several bonuses. The purchase will, of course, give players access to the game, but there will be plenty of other content on top of that as well. The purchase will come with a season pass, which will give access to 2 DLC packs to be released in the future, a special in-game sword set, avatars for your PSN ID, as well as an exclusive Ni no Kuni II PS4 theme. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Bolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.